Sit back, close your eyes, and imagine how proud you'll feel knowing you can afford to pay too much for my products. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Champion Reads podcast. I've been your guest host for the month. My name is John Kovach Jr. I'm actually the creator and founder, CEO of Champion Circle. And joining me today in this awesome conversation is our executive producer, Mr. Ian Sturmer.
Morning.
Really glad to have Ian, and we're glad to jump into the conversations. And we've been continuing a discussion of our observations, just learnings, and just topics related to the Little Red Book of Selling by Jeffrey Gitomer. And this is our third episode in discussing this book. And, it was really interesting. And I didn't know whether it was a compliment or if it was something I shouldn't share. But I've been sharing it, so I'm going to keep sharing it. But I love this book. I love this book because you can find it anywhere. If you shop at retail stores, you can find it there. If you shop at discount stores, this book was so popular in the 80s and 90s that this book is everywhere. And people have given their copies to other people. They've had so many versions of Jeffrey Gitomer's work that you can find them anywhere. And so when it comes to grabbing his book, no excuse. You'll see it on the shelves at any bookstore or any retail store there. It is red, as you can tell, and it's something that I think everyone should pick up, because I learned, we'll start with this, Ian. There's some things I learned while reading this book. And before we get into what we really want to talk about, I just kind of want to throw it out there. Like, while reading these books, and again, I kind of picked this one up saying, as a team and as a company, we should dive a little bit deeper into sales. And who better to read from than Mr. Jeffrey Gitomer? And this book has been very interesting because while it has small tidbits, tactics, strategies, techniques, all of them are just like, yeah, that's so right. Like, he didn't reinvent the wheel. He just organized information and put it in front of us to give us the organization for our thoughts, through our mindsets, and through our actions. And I have found some pretty profound important activities and techniques that have given me a little bit more confidence in selling. And so as I've read through this book and I've read every little line, it's one of those books you can sit down and just read, and you'll get something new every single time, because there's so much color, there's so many examples, there's some great organization. It's structured in a really cool platform and in a format that really allows you to explore different things as if you were learning in class. And I love that. And I think that it's not a quote unquote textbook of sales, but it's a application book of sales. And there's measurable things for me. And that's sort of what I've gained just as an overview of reading Jeffrey's book. But Ian's read the book before, and he'll reading it again with us this series. Ian, what are some of your thoughts, and just in general, like, what have you gained from reading anything from Jeffrey Gitomer?
Yeah, I love this book because it is just packed full of practical ideas, simple tools that we can use. There was we're talking about the quotes we started out the podcast with. My favorite one in here says, "Can't get past the gatekeeper, you suck." And I love that. And that's what this book is saying. You're having trouble here? Well, you suck. Get over it. Here's some tips. Here's what you can do instead. And obviously not every tip is going to fit every person, but it's so packed full of practical steps that you can take, things you can do, that there's something there for everybody. So if your problem said is getting past the gatekeeper, so well, here's some things you can do to get past the gatekeeper. And they're not tricks. They're not, you know, sneaky things to get by somebody. It's not tricking somebody into something, but it's how can you be genuine and move forward? You know, we're all in sales to some degree, and this is really talking about specific, you know, full-time salespeople. So if we're in sales, we should believe in our product. We should be selling a product that's good and is going to help people. And if we have something that's going to help people, then we can be honest about that. We can say, hey, this is why I can help you to live a better life. And if we're not able to convey that, we suck, basically. um, we need to gain the knowledge. We need to see the value in it. We need to build those relationships with people so that they will want to listen to us. They will want to hear what we have to say, and they'll trust us. And it really goes as simple as that. Know yourself, know your product, and know how to convey the importance to people around you. And it's all through being genuine, and just simple rules for that. You know, do you spend 2 hours a night watching reruns on TV? Or do you spend 2 hours a night going through the literature on your product so you understand what it is you're selling so that you are the most knowledgeable person going in? Do you spend time researching your client? So when you go in there, you know that, you know, they love sailboats, or their product does X, Y, and Z, and that's why your product fits into it. Are we taking time to research, to gain that knowledge? If we're not, yeah, we suck. Sorry, I love that phrase in it. I
I
think
love
that
that
just
too.
sums it up. That's we all have the ability to do it,
You
and
know,
this gives us some simple steps.
you get me thinking, Ian, because I think it's important to iterate um, an angle to what you just shared, and that is that so much that we don't have in this world could probably, and I'm generalizing here, but so much of what we don't have could probably be derived from a lack of knowledge. And that knowledge is backed by action or discipline, right? And so again, general statement, you don't have to agree with me, but I'm just generalizing because let's
Yeah,
say
you're
I
wrong.
exactly, yeah. If I lack in money and my goal is to make more money, but I'm like, "Oh, man, I work so hard. I work 60 hours a week and I just not generating the money that I want." It's probably because you lack knowledge in regards to how to make more money efficiently. Um, and as I'm digging deeper in this idea that popped in my head, it sounded cooler in my head than it is I'm speaking. But I'll finish up and wrap up by saying what I love what you said was, you know, these aren't just little tricks and techniques and the secrets of the trade. They're really just, well, that sucks. Applications, they're right in front of you. Go through the wall. Like there are so many ways you can do it. There are ways that are inappropriate, but I'm still going to tell you because it's still a way. You know, I remember the stories of Les Brown, and he got the gig working at a DJ studio because he was incessant. He just consistently kept calling back the whatever the radio office. And by the time he came back like the third or fourth time, Mr. Butterball is what he called him. Mr. Butterball was just like, I am sick and tired of hearing from you. Go get me a coffee. And that meant you're hired. And he just did whatever it took. And I think that's something that Jeffrey brings up here is like, there are so many ways to get through. Like, don't just give up on the first no. In fact, no could mean just a lack of knowledge or a lack of experience, and go get that. And then you brought up the fact that we should, you know, what we do and spend our time with. The last few weeks have been interesting for me, and I've been in this idea that, you know, I should spend my time better, and how much better would I be 9, 10, 11 months from now if I sacrificed one thing for another, such as I refuse to watch TV at night for more than an hour, and instead I read, or I relax, or do some stretching or some yoga, or something that would help me prepare for the next day, and also help me obtain knowledge and preparation for those things. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. It did sound cooler in my head, but I do think that knowledge is one of those things where if you don't know, go find out. You don't, just because you don't know doesn't mean the answer is not out there. You can find a way. You can find a strategy or an action that you can take to actually make it happen. I don't know. It sounded cool.
Yeah. Well, we live in a world where knowledge has never been more accessible.
Right.
We can find out anything in the world we want to. Not that I'm encouraging us to cyber stalk people, but do you go on LinkedIn before you meet with a client, or even go on Facebook and see if they're there and find some commonality? And again, it's not a trick to fool them into it or pretend you're somebody else, but find a genuine commonality. The old rule of business, and Jeffrey Gitomer mentioned this over and over again: all things being equal, people will buy from people they like. All things not being quite so equal, people will buy from people they like. So we need to become someone that, we need to find something in common with someone so that we can like them. It was it Will Rogers, the old actor, a cowboy, had a comment: "I never met a man I didn't like." And I think if we take time to get to know somebody, we're going to find something we like. And that commonality, being genuine, being ourselves, finding that one thing we like that's in common with someone else, is going to make it easier for us in sales, because it brings out the genuineness of who we are. And I'm kind of saying that word over again, being genuine. And that's part of the secret of it. Be yourself, be genuine, but be the best yourself, the best genuine way. And I'm going to mention one more quote in here that I was looking through it. I love the chapter on humor. And he mentioned something, can you find the positive way or the funnier way to look at something? So this one kind of hit me. Those of you that have it on camera can see. I can either say, "Woe is me, I'm going bald, I have almost no hair left." Or I can say, the great thing is I have almost no hair to lose. And one of his jokes there was, I'll be the guy in the brown suit. I have brown hair and most of it's missing. Can you find a way to be positive about something that people may be negative about? Find a way to joke about it, laugh about it, enjoy it. Enjoy the time you're talking with somebody. No one wants to slog through a sales presentation that no one is happy to be there. Be genuine, be fun, connect with people, and sales are going to happen more often because of that, because it's all about relationships in the end.
I appreciate what you said there, because it, I had a most recent conversation. I play recreational volleyball, and when we're not playing, we're on the sidelines, and the sidelines can be one of two things: a great place for small talk or a great place to build relationships. And you're absolutely right. Bringing humor and also that depth is vital. And I think I gained a friend for life yesterday, because I turned to them and I said, "Hey, I could use your help." And they looked at me kind of like, "Okay, you're an accomplished human being. What help could you use from me?" And this was a young 23-year-old volleyball player who is much more skilled than I am. And I looked at him, I said, what motivational speakers do you listen to? And what platforms do you hear them on? And they were like, "Oh, and their answers were super interesting, because it was like, well, I actually can't name any right now. I don't really know their names, but I do like a lot of sound bites and some quotes. But right now there's this movement, and it's for Gen Zers who there's a lot of negativity in the world, and media is pretty terrible. And even social media can be a place of just comparison and self-deprivation. So what we do is we have this movement, and it's called HopeCon. And I think that's what it's called. I feel so old thinking about this and trying to convert it into my mind. But anyways, wrapping it up, it was so interesting because by asking for help or by just inviting this person to share their knowledge, they felt valued. And then we had a great old conversation about, what I should be doing as a motivational speaker on social media. And um, I'm not looking for advice from just strangers. I'm looking for connection. And it led to a really great conversation. And I'm wondering if I came back to him and said, here's one of my books, I'm sure he would buy it off me, even though I'd give it to him. I'm sure he would, take a little bit more care in any one of our conversations, because small talk was the epitome of not building relationships, whereas questions of depth really led to a great relationship. And there was a lot of humor involved and a lot of just great connection. So I felt really good about that. It was really a fun experience.
Yeah, and I love that, because that's what sales really should be,
Yeah,
is each of you helping each other and building a relationship. And I'm guessing that you didn't start that relationship with the idea of making a couple bucks off selling your book.
not at
You
all.
started that because you genuinely wanted to know, because it's something of interest to you, it's interest to them, it's building commonality, it's something you're both going to learn from that. And if you approach sales from a one way, I'm going to give you something and you're going to give me money. Giving money back is not a two-way street. Um, are you giving value? Are you asking for value? Are you both receiving value from it? That's relationship. It's who you are. And I'm going to segue into what we talked
Perfect.
about this before. The end of the book says the two most important words in selling. And I'm going to just go ahead and give the answer. The first of those words is you. It's all about, well, me, because he's telling it to me. Sales, there's techniques, there's tricks, there's ways to phrase things, there's ways to get around an issue. But in the end, sales for me is about me. Am I being genuine? Am I truly wanting to help someone? Am I taking the time to be the best salesperson? Because a lot of times it's like the old story of the bear chasing you and your friend. Doesn't matter if you can outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your friend. Doesn't matter if have the best product in the world. It matters if you have a better product than the next person, or a better sales technique than them. So you've got to be genuine. You've got to care about your clients, and want them to succeed. And if you're not putting the effort in to learn and get better, then that says you don't care about your client. You're just wanting to skate by on your good looks and your charm, and face it, that doesn't get you a whole lot of sales in the end. It takes more than just that. At least my good looks don't give me many sales at all. So
Yeah, if you want a list of things to work on, I mean, when it comes to being you, just rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 5 on any one of these. And if you have not perfection, then it means you've got area to work on. And that's good, because we all need areas to work on. I feel like whenever you do these personality assessments or you take quizzes on yourself and do reflections, people stress out because they think they have to be perfect. But I don't think perfection's ever really achieved. I just think that things and areas you feel like you need to improve on so that you can be better. Here's one: your image. How do you look? Your ability to speak. How do you sound? Your ability to establish rapport, your attitude, your product knowledge, your desire to help, your preparedness, your humor, your creativity, your sincerity, which goes into genuinity, your reputation, your glue. That's an extra point. He always finishes each point with a half point, and it's pretty cool. But you need to be pretty darn good at you. And I love it. He says, you ain't as hot as you think. You're in need of a 20-minute personal daily workout or something, because take care of yourself. There's also you're mediocre at sales, and so is your success to date. He talks about relationships. And then there's some good topics in there, but I can name 2 or 3 of those things in there that I definitely need to get better at. One that most people will probably relate to is product knowledge. How much do you really know about the product? Not so that you can tell your customer or future prospect everything but so that when you gain a lot of information, you then become a master of that by being able to sum that up. I thought that was a genius thing about sales when I first got involved, which is the less I knew, the harder it was to relate and connect to my clients. The more I knew, the quicker I was able to find some sort of comparison. Like you said, find something of likeness in other people. Well, you also want to look for things that stand out as to why this person will and should and could have your product or service. And so for me, that, and again, it's personal. It doesn't have to be the same as everyone else, but for me, product knowledge is important. And I also think creativity, right? My creativity and how I display the information. If I have a memorized presentation every single time, I'm going to be so predictable. And I think people will not find the genuinity in who I am. For instance, they'll see less of that and more of, oh, this guy's just giving me a pitch. I hate it when people say, so that's your pitch, huh? And I'm like, ooh, that burned, because it wasn't meant to be a pitch. It was meant to be a conversation. And I think that really out of that long list, there's a few things. Plus, we can all work on our body image and how we look and how we smell and how we appear and how our smile is. We can work on those things. But what do you think?
And that's one of the great things about this book is if you've got an area of weakness, there's a way to fix it. Mm-hmm. And usually it's not all that hard to do. A little bit more time to pick out a good deodorant, a little more time to pick out clothes that fit you, a little more time to learn your knowledge. I was going to say earlier, I guess the difference between a conversation and a pitch is when you tell what you like about your product. A conversation is when you find out what your client likes about your product. And I think we've all pitched what we like only to find out that that's not what the client wanted. And, just a real life example there, I'm working with a company now that does solar sales and, putting solar panels on your house. And when they go in to talk to the homeowner, they've got to find out what the homeowner wants. Some people are looking to save the environment and go solar and reduce greenhouse gases. And that's what's important to them. That's where they want the conversation. Other people are looking to lower their energy bill and they could care less about the environment. They just need to save some money in their pocket. And if you approach the wrong side of that, you lose the sale right away. Mm-hmm. If you don't take the time to find out what the client wants. But the fact is, you need to understand both of those, and you need to see the positives in both of those, and you need to believe in both of those yourself. You can't pitch it if you don't believe it. And you're not going to believe it if you haven't researched to know what the benefits are for that. Now, you might be a little more strongly siding towards saving money or saving the environment, or a way it does both, whatever. But you need to be able to understand the full value of your product and be able to show people the value that they are looking for, not the value that you like. And it's that genuine relationships. And taking the time, again, I think I said this before, but if you don't care enough about your client to research your own product, you're in the wrong business here. You're not going to be successful. You need to care about your client, and that means you're going to take the effort to buy a stronger deodorant, hit the gym now and then, eat a few more vegetables, read a couple more books, watch a few less reruns of Star Trek. But, that's a tough one because
it's come up a couple of times. Do you want to work on that?
Yeah. Well, if you got the video here, I got the Star Trek posters behind me.
There's nothing wrong with reruns. We love them. It's just what we do with our time, right? You brought up some cool things there, and before we get into the second word, I just wanted to share like that I truly value um the mastery of words and learning better, newer words to help you strengthen your conversations is a great investment in your time. I have a thesaurus. I have a dictionary. I don't know how outdated they are, but oh well. I have something that's a resource because I like to find new words. And when I find myself using words that I actually don't know the meaning to because I picked them up from somebody else, I spend a lot of time figuring out how to use those words correctly, and I apply them, and I take risks, and I just throw it out there. And if people give me a puzzled look, I'd be like, "Oh, I think I used that word wrong." And I try to do that in conversations, but words matter. They truly do. And the word pitch is one of those words where it has its purpose, place. And if unless you're on Shark Tank or at a pitch con or pitch fest, that's the appropriate place for it. But in the world of networking and building relationships and prospecting, they'll tell you to get up and give your elevator pitch, which is your 30 to 60 seconds, basically what you do, who you are, and why, and how it's supposed to benefit anyone in the room. And I hate that we call it that. I hate that it's an elevator pitch. I wish it was a better word, like a work with me introduction or something like that, because words matter, right? And you could use that momentum of the words work with me introduction or something of the likeness to build relationships around you by saying, here, it's not just what I do, but I'm so passionate about what I do, and I literally can help anyone with X, Y, and Z. And the people in the room who need help with that, I can't wait to help you, or at least just give you resources and educate and share. Be a friend, and people are more likely to say yes to that than, okay, all right, so there's a bookie in the room, there's a contractor in the room, there's that's really, it's like speed dating for professionals, and it's so out of date. Oh.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I was thinking the word pitch. Now, I always get in trouble when I try a sports analogy.
Mm,
Um, but what is the goal of a pitch in baseball? It's to beat the batter. It's to win against the batter. It's to make the batter lose when you're doing a pitch. And what's the purpose of a pitch in sales? It's to get past the person to make them interested. It's to sneak by them. It's to win them. And if you're trying to win a customer, there's I know we talk about win-win, but I think anytime we're winning, there's a loser someplace. And we've got to change our mentality, and set our vocabulary affects that.
mm,
One of my Forgive me as I digress just a second here, but in The Miracle Worker, the book about Helen Keller and Anne Sullivan, Helen Keller describes the first time that Anne Sullivan put her hand underwater and finger spelled the word water. And Helen said that for the first time, she could associate a sensation, a physical thing, with a word.
mm,
And said it wasn't just that she learned a word, but her world expanded to understand more things. And every new word she learned, her understanding of the world expanded. It wasn't necessarily learning a word for a certain thing, but now that thing grew in meaning. And as we're doing sales, it's the same thing. A pitch teaches us to say the same thing over and over again, rather than to look for the meaning behind it and what the person is looking for. Um, so it's the words make a difference in learning new words, learning the words that the customer is going to be interested in.
yeah,
That's It's caring about the customer. It's taking the you and expanding it to be better, to help other people.
absolutely. And speaking of words, the second most important words in sales, according to Jeffrey Gitomer, we talked about you, and we briefed over some great options and ideas for how to work on and improve you, because you are the source of those sales. You are the source of those relationships and the service. The second word is why. And I love this word, why, because it always goes back for me to the 2-year-old or 3-year-old that just learned how to talk, and their only word is why, why, why. And it goes back to what you were just saying, Ian. As Helen Keller learned a new word, her world expanded. As toddlers and as younglings and as people growing, the more we learn why or ask why, the more we inquire more about the world, and we learn and we gain, and our universe expands. And a couple of questions or things I just love about this question is the fact that why is so important. It's more of an understanding and a belief. It becomes who you are. It becomes what you do and why you do it. And why has so much importance and value, and it becomes a really important word in your vocabulary. Not because you should be the annoying toddler as you grow up. There are better tactful ways to use the word why, but searching, pondering, understanding, inquiring more is such a respectable and also enlightening process. And if there's one word in the English language that can lead you to greater depth of answers, understanding, and knowledge, it is the word why, rather than who, what, when, or where, or how. How is probably in my book next, but it has a different depth. But yeah, why is very, very interesting, and it's also important in the process of sales. What are your thoughts on why?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think we need to ask why on every aspect of what we're doing. Why is my product or service the one that's going to help this person? But I think especially intrinsically, why am I doing what I'm doing? And again, the solar company I'm working with, I was working with one of their sales reps and said, initially he started doing that because it's pretty good money. There's a good profit margin in going out and doing this door-to-door sales and solar. But I got talking to me and said, I started to realize that it's not just about the money, but it's about how I can help someone else. And as I was talking to him, he's saying, I've just realized that, a senior on a fixed income can't have an energy bill that's going to keep going up and going up. So if they can fix it, which is what one thing solar allows you to do, that allowed that senior to be able to budget and plan and have the money they need for other things. And he began to realize that his why was not just earning some money for himself, but he saw a real value. And he knew that when he knocked on that door, he stood a chance of really helping someone out, of potentially in the future, the senior on a fixed income would not have to make a choice between taking medicine and having heat or electricity. And that why really hit him. It was no longer just earning some money, and yes, there's some benefits and all that, but he gained a real why that fit in with caring about his customer and seeing that concern for the customer and a way to help them made a big difference in his performance, because it was no longer about me or him. It was about how I can help someone else. And that's something that's going to get us motivated and moving forward. Money is nice, but in the end, it's how we feel about ourselves. And we might feel really good driving that new Ferrari for the first couple of days, but getting a letter from a client saying, thank you so much for helping me. What you did for me allowed me to achieve X, Y, and Z, or live a better life, or whatever it is that we're helping someone with. Those are the things that are really going to stick with us more than the transient money and all of that, because it's genuine. It's that connection. And I think we as salespeople need that connection, that genuineness, just as much as our clients do when they're looking at us. We need to have that true desire to connect and help within ourselves.
Very well said. I think that, sort of wrapping this up, I look at those three, that the three whys: why you, why them, and why ask, right? Those are powerful understandings of any sales conversation. Now, don't go down the loophole, rabbit hole, the whatever you want to call it, hole of self-digression when you're about to jump on a call and you're like, wait, why am I doing this? And why should don't do your preparation in advance, but don't go too deep that you talk yourself out of it, but go into it knowing, why not me, right? Why not me to share this with this amazing person, and why them? Because this person, I believe in this product. I believe that this service can change people. I believe that this could help. It made me happy, so it can make him happy. And then why ask? Why is it going to make their lives a little bit better? I get really excited about the question why, and in a lot of my reflections and a lot of my meditations, and also my just connections with both God and spirit, I use the word why, not as a why me or a why, rather than inquiring why. How is it, and why is the universe so beautiful? Why is life just so grand? Why do we function the way we do? And I seek and inquire answers to great things, not the woe is me questions. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so. And one of my mantras is you should question your core beliefs every day.
Hmm.
And I may not actually sit down to do that every day, but if you take a look at your core beliefs and ask why, is that still valid? Is that still something I believe in? If those core beliefs are true, if they are genuine, then you will be strengthened every time you do that. And if you find your desire, your will, or your whys being questioned and not being as strong as they were the day before, then maybe that's a sign that your core beliefs need to be reevaluated. Maybe what you thought was a core belief is not really a core belief for you. Maybe the product or service you represent is not quite what you wanted it to be. I've worked for companies that I've begun to realize that I don't really have that good of a product. If it's not a product I can stand behind, maybe I need to go somewhere else. And that can be a hard one to swallow sometimes. But question those beliefs. Ask yourself why. Why is my product or service the best out there? Why am I selling this? Why am I picking up the phone 100 times a day? And if you can find the answers to that why, you will be strengthened. You will be motivated. You'll love your job more, and you'll be more successful in every aspect of it. But if you don't have the answer to that why, you need to take time to find out what the real why is. And maybe you need to move your life in a different direction, or maybe that why moves closer to where you are, if that makes sense.
I love it. I think that's a great place to put a close to our conversation today. As my doorbell just
Somebody
rang,
agrees
and
with
my
you
dogs
there.
are like, "Hey,
Yeah.
let's tell everyone in the neighborhood." Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an excellent conversation on the circle of not the circle, the Champion Reads podcast. Give me 1 second. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's just the mailman. Don't bite him. Hey, quit. Stop. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on Champion Reads. And we'll continue these conversations as I shut my dogs up.
Yeah.
And I'll pass it over to you, Ian, or we'll just say thank you. And if you'd like to contact or connect with our team, you can reach out to us at team@mychampionscircle.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your opinions. If there's a book or a concept or a topic you'd like us to cover, let us know. And also, if you feel so inclined, please subscribe, listen, tune into all of our conversations. And we'd love to have you listen in, follow along, and learn more from us. Any other final thoughts before we close out?
No, I think the dogs said it well, that they agree. And that's an important thing. If the dogs agree, your life is good.
That's right.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time on Champion Reads.